Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Running the Bases. I am Michael Garaffa, solo at the moment, but Ryan Blank should be joining me in just a moment. It is great to have all here. It is a tough day for me. For those of you that know what has been going on with the New York Mets in particular, you understand my pain and why it has not been a great day and why it has not been a great 24 hours for me. So to simplify things for those of you that don't know, first off, if you didn't know that the Mets are my team by now, you probably wouldn't be watching this show. However, it is still not necessarily known by everybody that the Mets entering this weekend had a good chance to lock up the division. They were in first place, had a game up on the Braves, and I'll get more into it when Ryan gets here, but they had a game up on the Braves and got swept. And they are pretty much now the only way that the Mets can win the division is if they sweep the Nationals and if the Marlins sweep the Braves, which is virtually impossible at this point. And the thing that's really terrible about all of it is that, well, the Braves did lose today, so they're going to dangle a little bit of hope in front of everyone's faces, but it's not going to happen. So it would be kind of pointless to think about it. But either way, the thing that's really, really difficult about everything is that they were in first place for so long and just let it slip away at the very end. And I think that's the hardest part for me is that it was there and they had it. But again, I'll get more into it when Ryan gets here. But today is going to be our postseason predictions show. So it is it's pretty important that we get into that when it comes when he shows up, because there's a lot to talk about. The postseason this year is going to be one of the craziest, but also I don't want to say one of the most predictable, but it's going to definitely be. We're most likely going to have a lot of the same predictions. It's my thought, at least, because there are a lot of things that can happen in this playoffs, but quite honestly, most of the things that are going to happen are not going to be a surprise, at least to me. Pretty much the teams that stand out are probably going to be the teams that do very well. I wouldn't be shocked if one of the Mets, Dodgers, Braves, Yankees, or Astros won the World Series. That would just not a shock, and there's 7 other teams other than those 5. So with an expanded playoffs, it's also the first time we're ever witnessing this format of expanded playoffs. We saw a little bit in 2020, but that was a 16-team playoff, and pretty much it was really anyone's game at that point because every team had to come out of the wild card round and had to play in a wild card series, whereas right now it's a little different. You have 4 teams per league in the wild card round. It's the 3 seed through the 6 seed, which is the worst of the division winners, and then the 3 wild card teams. So it's going to be really, really, really interesting to see a division winning team come out of a wild card round. We've never, 2020 not counting, we haven't had that happen before. And right now it's going to be likely the Cardinals in the National League, and it's also likely going to be the Guardians in the American League. Well, it is the Guardians in the American League. It's been confirmed about that. I have to remember that the Astros and Yankees are very well ahead of them. But as of right now, it's also looking like the Cardinals are going to be that team in the National League because there's no way that they get caught. So it will be the Cardinals. So right now it is actually confirmed as being the Cardinals and the Guardians as those wild card teams that won their division. So they're going to have a really tough task here. It is not going to be easy for them. And the way things stand right now, you also have the other wild card rounds as the Padres and the Cardinals. You have the Phillies and the Mets on the National League side. And in the American League side, you have the Rays, the Guardians, and then the Mariners and the Blue Jays. So it's not going to be a guarantee right now. And I mean, quite honestly, there is a very high possibility that some of those things change within the next few days. You never know. Crazier things have happened. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if the Phillies managed to come up and, snag a few here and there. But, I mean, the Brewers are certainly finding their way to stay relevant. I mean, the Brewers have been really, I don't want to say out of it for a long time, but they're still a game and a half back. But they won today. The Phillies are currently in the bottom of the 9th, and if they win, I don't think that'll eliminate the Brewers. I don't know if actually, yes, that will eliminate the Brewers because the Phillies also hold the tiebreaker. So if the Phillies complete this game right now while we are speaking, then there is completely no chance of the Brewers being in the playoffs, which would be kind of a shame for them, a team that had a lot of high hopes entering the season, and they're not going to even make the playoffs. But, I mean, right now, if the Phillies do end up completing that game, which we are assuming that they're one out away, they're quite simply right there, then we will have all of our playoff teams set. The field will be set, just a matter of finding out exactly where everyone's going to land, because while the Mets are pretty much out of it at this point, and they're not mathematically out of winning the division yet, so they're still holding on by a thread at that possibility. And then on top of that, wild card teams may shift around. If the Phillies and Padres swap around, that'll determine who plays the second place team in the National League East, which is most likely going to be the Mets. Right now, it would be the Padres playing the Mets in that spot, but anything can happen. I think a lot of Mets fans would rather that they play the Phillies, but I don't know, because Mets fans are, the most interesting fans in the world, to say the least. So, with that being said, you also have on the American League side, it's pretty much locked up. I believe the Mariners playing right now, I believe if they win, they will clinch that none of the wild card spots will move. So that would also be very interesting on the American League side, and we will also have no other shifts on that side. So right now the AL is finished, pretty much, assuming that the Mariners hold on and win this game. You've got the Rays and the Guardians taking on each other in the wild card round, and then the Mariners and the Blue Jays taking on each other. The Rays and Guardians would match up against the Yankees in the ALDS, whichever team wins that. Then on the other AL side, we will have the Mariners Blue Jays winner facing off against the Astros. So two difficult teams that will be really the results of putting on one heck of a fight in a wild card round. It's not easy. Then you go to the National League side, and as of right now, it is the Phillies and the Cardinals that will be resulting in the winner taking on the Braves at the moment, assuming that stays true, which is also what we are going to be doing. And then we also have the Mets taking on the Padres on the other side of that wild card, the winner taking on the Dodgers, who have been the best team in baseball. So without really being dramatic, it's safe to say that, well, any of these wildcard teams that come out of the wildcard round are going to have a really, really, really difficult job making it past the NLDS. Because, first off, they're playing in a 3-game wildcard series, which is something that has not been done since, other than 2020, in the history of baseball. And even at that, every team had to go through it, so it's not the same. So the National League Divisional Series teams, the Astros, Yankees, Braves, and Dodgers, are all going to be getting about a week off before they have to play again. So that's going to allow them to have some rest, when at the same time those wildcard teams are playing really, really important games and then going right into the NLDS. So I'll use the Guardians and Rays, for example, end up playing the Yankees. Let's say the Rays and Guardians go. Actually, I really shouldn't have paid those. I'll do the Mets and the Padres because they're the only team I can think of the pitching matchups for. So Mets Padres wild card round that would start this Friday. It would be at Citi Field, and those two teams will then have to throw their 3 best pitchers out there games 1, 2, and 3. Now, I also don't know how the Padres pitching staff is lining up down the little stretch here, but you'd have to assume that it's going to be some combination of Musgrove, Darvish, and Snell. I mean, there's no reason why it wouldn't be those guys. So they would also be facing off against Degrom, Scherzer, and Bassett for the Mets. So those 3 pitchers pitching Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The NLDS starts Tuesday. So whichever team, let's say it goes 3 games in that series, and both teams are using all 3 of their star pitchers. First off, I have no idea who the Padres would throw out there against the Dodgers in Game 1, because their first pitcher of the series pitches Friday, which means that the earliest they could pitch would really be Wednesday, unless you pitch them on a day short of rest, which you want to do starting NLDS anyway. So I know at least for the Mets, they would probably throw Taijuan Walker out there for Game 1 of the NLDS, and then it would likely then just go back to Degrom, Scherzer, and Bassett. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But even at that, your pitchers are, well, yes, they're pitching on pretty much regular rest at that point. It's just they pitched in such high-intensity games, and you also just don't know how they're going to react in those high-intensity games too, because these are unprecedented games. I mean, in 2020, when we had these 3-game wildcard series, there were no fans in the stands. We have no idea what this is going to be like you have to assume, at least for the Mets series, that the stadium's going to be completely packed. It's going to be a ruckus house. And whichever team wins that series, it is going to be in an absolute battle. It's not going to be an easy series. I mean, unless one team wins 2-0, even at that, assuming the Padres win this thing 2-0, it's still going to be a fight because the Mets aren't going to go down without a fight. They're going to grind it out. And the same thing for the Padres. They're not going to let the Mets just go down and take them 2-0. It's just not going to happen. So it's going to cause whichever teams move on to the NLDS to have such a big disadvantage in the fact that they're tired. They already can't line up their starting pitching staff the way that they really want to, and quite honestly need to, especially for certain teams like the Padres, because, I mean, right now, some of these teams don't have more than 3 really good starting pitchers. I mean, who are the Rays going to throw out there if they go 3 in a wild card series against the Yankees in Game 1? I mean, I couldn't even name you 3 starting pitchers for the Tampa Bay Rays right now. This goes to show, how good they've been with notable players like they've done for who knows the last 4 years. But I mean, a team like the Guardians, which is so young, if they do win that game, they do win that series, and they move along, it's just not going to be easy. It really isn't going to be. It's going to be a very, very difficult, road to get there. And then you also look at a team like the Mariners, who then stack up really nicely with Robbie Ray, Luis Castillo, and Marco Gonzalez. But then again, who are you going to throw out there in the first game of the ALDS if you go 3? Now, obviously, the likelihood is these wild card series aren't all going to go 3 games. There's a high likelihood that one team takes the first 2 and moves along, and then they'll get 2 days off. But for the teams that have to go 3, it's going to end up being a real problem for them. And it's quite honestly going to be – it's going to really change their game plan. So, again, we have no way of knowing how this is going to impact teams. We have never witnessed the wild card round the way it looks at the moment. We have never witnessed anything quite like it before, because when we had it in 2016, it was quite simply just a 3 games. Everyone has to deal with it, including the best teams in each league. And here we are. So I'm really, really intrigued to see how that's going to play out. And we're going to start finding out on Friday. I mean, it could be really, really fun. And honestly, for all those people that say, oh, man, the wild card series is not going to be as electric as the wild card game, I beg to differ. I really do. The wild card games, while yes, wild card games are one of the most electrifying things in the history of sports. I mean, everyone knows that wild card games are awesome. The wild card series is more of a test of who's the better team. Because in a wild card game, we saw it last year. The Dodgers and the Cardinals went head-to-head in the wild card game, and it went to the 9th. And it was tied. I believe it was 0-0 in the 9th, quite honestly. So you think about that. It was 0-0 in the 9th inning. Any team could have won it at that point. Any team could have walked away with that. And if the Cardinals had won, they would have knocked out the best team in baseball in 1 game. You play the entire season only to lose 1 game. And everyone knows that in the game of baseball, anybody can win or lose 1 game. It doesn't matter who's pitching, who's playing, what the numbers are. It doesn't matter. The game of baseball is so unpredictable, as we have seen in the past. I mean, just this season alone. I mean, just talking about this past weekend alone, the Mets getting swept by the Braves. It's unpredictable. You can't predict those kinds of things. And the fact that they happen just goes to show you that you really never know. You just never know what's going to happen. When it comes time for October, you never know when what's going to happen. So I really like the idea of a 3-game wild card series. I think it's really great for baseball. And quite honestly, I think it's going to cause more tension than a 1 game, because it provides the possibility of the dramatic comeback after 1 game. Whereas in the 1 game, if you're down 7-0, the likelihood of the dramatic comeback is just gone because all the wind's taken out of your sails. But if you lose that first game, you already need to have that dramatic comeback in order to win the series. So just do it. And instead of saying, well, we're down by 7, this doesn't happen very often, it's, well, we lost the first game of the series, let's win the next 2. Teams play 3-game series all season long. That's what Major League Baseball is. I would say probably 90% of the games that teams play are 3-game series. They're used to this. So they're used to going in and preparing for, 3 games. If you lose the first one, win the next 2, you've won the series. So teams have done this. So going down 1-0, while, yeah, it's still going to lead to a dramatic comeback because a team that goes up 1-0 obviously is favored to win, it's going to cause that sense of we can still do it. You're not out. You are not done. You are not eliminated from contention if you get knocked out in that first game of the wild card anymore, like you were last year in many years prior to Major League Baseball. It is now you get knocked out in game one, you get right back out there and you try and get it in the next two games. Now, obviously, the team that's on the road in game one, well, they've got a lot harder of a job if they lose that game because you're going to be on the road the next two and you can't do anything about that. So you then have to try and fight with your back up against the wall in the other team's home court. It is not easy. But I mean, I've been telling a lot of people that this wild card series is going to be really fun. I mean, everyone keeps telling me, well, who should the Mets throw out there? Who should the Mets put out in game one? It doesn't matter. The Mets have a very lucky thing, but the way that I think teams should be stacking this is put your best pitcher at game two. That's the way that I'm looking at it, because the way that the wild card series goes, game two is the most important game of the series. Game one, yeah, it matters a lot, but game two is the most important one, because if you win game one, then your game two, you can win the series, take it home, and get an extra day off. If you lose game one, you have to win game two. But game one, it doesn't really matter. You have nothing. I mean, there's nothing physically on the line in game one. Well, yes, it's important to set the series up. There's nothing on the line in game one that is saying that you absolutely need to have your best pitcher starting the first game of the series. I don't think that's necessary. It's not like in, say, a divisional series game where in the NLDS, where you want to have your game one starter be your best because it'll circle back around to him at game five and you need to have him lined up to pitch game five if need be. But in this series, it doesn't matter. It's 3 days. There's no chance that your game one starter pitches again in the series. So there's no reason to stack it that way. You can stack it strategically. Now, obviously, your game three starter has to be someone good, but that you don't need to impact games one or two, which is why that I think the best way for the Mets to do it is to do Degrom, Scherzer, and Bassett. I just keep using the Mets because I know the team better than anyone, or better than any other, rather. So I can speak to what they should do. Because to me, everyone's saying, well, Scherzer's been more consistent. Well, the Mets are kind of also in a really lucky situation here that Max Scherzer and Jacob Degrom are the two best pitchers in baseball. Mr. Ryan Blank is here. I don't know if he needs to be let in. Can he? Oh, I'll just come and get you. I'll be right back, everyone. I need to open the door. Oh, he figured it out. Oh, how lovely.
I thought Blaze finally locked me out. You know, I've done a lot of things. But
I was going to say, maybe it's finally time that they decided that you were.
My curtain call is coming.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, you said enough. Little on the edge stuff.
Angle that computer towards me too.
Oh, my goodness. Sure. Hold on. Let me finally have a sip of water after 18 minutes of talking nonstop.
A lot happened. But I can take over and gladly talk about the New York Mets.
Well, hold on. Let me lead into it because I purposely made a point of pausing to do it afterwards, after you arrived, because I knew you wanted to discuss it, and so do I. It's a prominent topic. There you are. Perfect.
Oh, hello.
Now, if I can just,
Perfect. Oh,
I was going to say that is a stiff thing, but I figured it out. There you are. Perfect.
Yeah,
This is great. So, Mr. Blank, you don't have a problem with using your voice. Just make sure you're projecting.
Oh, me projecting? That's never been an issue in my life.
No, it is not. I also thankfully finally turned on your microphone. So
wow. Perfect.
It is great. So the Mets, the New York Mets, I talked about at the beginning of the show that the Mets blew the division. I don't like saying that the Mets choked it away. They didn't choke their division. They choked it at the end.
Well, let me say something. What was it? I'm pretty sure it was May, but it might have been June. 10.5 games.
It was June, yes.
10.5 games. Yeah, it was my opinion. And here's the thing. I have said for a while, when the Braves get hot, they're going to take the division. You're like, no. Mets are better, hands down. There's no worries. You said that to me last week. And let me tell you something. I tweeted about it, so I'm going to use that tweet and plug myself in there. If you don't follow me, RMBlank4 on Twitter. But the Braves took that personally, Michael. It became personal with them.
They did.
And wow. They ended the season on fire. They proved to be the team that everybody expected them to be and more. And then going into the series, you were so confident because you had Degrom pitching. They had Scherzer pitching and Bassett. The top three guys in that rotation. And what happens? You get swept. And let me explain why. And it's because the Braves' offense is, I don't want to say light years because I think that's just overkill. But that Braves offense is much better than the Mets.
I was going to say we can't use Jared Carrabis's term, but Jared Carrabis's phrase is what the Braves lineup does. Because the Braves, you're right, they do. They have a better lineup than the Mets, and they've proven it. And I think,
but honestly, I think in the end, I think they honestly have a good bullpen. That bullpen's pretty deep.
I'd argue they're about par with the way the Mets have been playing recently. They're about the same. Over the course of the season, yes, absolutely. But recently, the bullpen's surprisingly been their most consistent factor. But I've been saying it all year too that the Mets lineup's not the best. They by far don't have the best lineup. They're scrappy and they manufacture runs, which is something that I can't wait for the world to finally see in the playoffs because it's really cool what the Mets have done. They don't have the best lineup at all, but they make runs happen and they make things happen, which is it's something that I've never witnessed in my life with this team, and not many teams do. But it also then leads you to be vulnerable to when you face really potent offenses and really good pitching staffs. Because teams that manufacture runs, they'll struggle against the best of pitchers because they're used to squeaking across 4 or 5 runs a game, and then when you're playing really great pitching or really great offenses, you're either getting out hit or the pitching shuts you down.
What will happen when the Mets, if they get there, have to face the Braves again or the Dodgers?
That would be. It would
scrapping runs is not easy against those two teams, and especially when they can get anybody going at any time. And here's the thing: I've said this about the Dodgers. The Dodgers needed someone as a third guy that can always be a threat, and they only went out and got an elite player, a top 10 player, to be that guy in Freddie Freeman. That's the thing. Yeah. This is why this is the Dodgers here, but we're not talking about that.
Yeah, we'll get there in a moment.
The Mets had the division in their hands. They did.
But it was theirs to lose.
It was theirs to lose, and they lost.
Yeah, they did.
And I don't know how that will fare when it comes to the playoffs, if that has an impact, because it easily could.
It'll have an impact whether it's good or it's going to have an impact for sure.
Yes, and I think it might lean towards bad because they're like 10.5 game lead. We choked at the end of the season, had our 3 best pitchers out on the mound, and could get 1 win. I get it. It was in Atlanta, and it's against a very good Atlanta team. But as you said last week, the Mets are a better team than the Braves, hands down. And wow, did they prove that wrong.
They did. They really did. And honestly, I mean, we said going into the season, as the Phillies just now clinched the final postseason spot. So the postseason's set. It's just a matter of finding out where everyone's going to land. We've said it all year. We said entering the year, I should say, that the Braves were a better team. We all projected the Braves to win the division. I mean, I know I predicted them to win the division, which is why, if there's any silver lining in this that makes it less painful, it's the fact that the Braves, realistically, they should have been here. I mean, there's really no thought. There's no doubt in my mind that this is where the Braves should have been. The Braves should have been winning the division. There was no doubt about it. It was going to be a fight. It was going to be a battle from the very start. No, not. There's no excuse. It's just simply that the Mets just lost it. It's the thing that hurts the most is that the Mets were in first for so long, and that they were right there, and they were literally less than a week away from having their first division title in 7 years, and they blew it. And that's what hurts the most. And the thing that hurts even more than that, actually, is that they went 1-5 in September against the Nationals and the Cubs at home to make it even worse. That they had all they needed to do. If they won 2 of those games, then the division would be actually right now the Mets would technically have a half game up because they didn't play today. If they won just 2, all they needed to do was win 2 of those games against the Cubs and the Nationals combined, not both, 2 total, then the Mets would have been still in first. And that's what really, really hurts and sticks in my craw and everyone else's craw the most, is that they had it. And they blew it against the bad teams. And that's what's going to sting the most at the end of the season, because they should have. There's genuinely no reason for the Mets to not be in first right now, other than the fact that they lost it themselves. And that's what I keep telling you, that the only thing that's going to stop the Mets in the playoffs, it's not going to be the Dodgers, it's not going to be the Braves, it's going to be the Mets.
I agree, 100%.
No, because the Mets have the talent to beat any team in the league. It's themselves that stops them. That is it. There's nothing else that can stop the Mets except for themselves. And that's what they've done.
I think when you look at it, the Mets are not better than Dodgers.
No, they're not better than the Dodgers. But I'm saying
those
they can
two
beat
teams.
them.
I disagree with that sentiment.
You're telling me that the Mets cannot beat the Braves or the Dodgers in a playoff series?
Honestly, to be quite frank, no.
You don't think the
Dodgers no.
Chance?
Dodgers no.
At all?
Yes, because you guys have proven they've proven that being 10-9 in the season tiebreaker. Yeah, I think that's a really good series. I don't think the Mets.
The Mets won the season series against the Dodgers this year.
I don't think the Mets have what it takes.
They still beat them 4-6. They almost swept them twice.
Okay, buddy, let's be honest here. The Royals could have swept the Dodgers because they led in all 3 games.
Exactly.
And here's the thing.
But the Mets won.
What you have to look at is when it comes down to late inning offense, who are you going to trust?
Oh, the Dodgers, absolutely.
You're telling me 9th inning, tie game.
And when Diaz against the Dodgers,
tie game. You don't want to throw Diaz.
Oh no, Diaz pitches in a tie game.
Oh, so you're going to throw
Diaz?
If
they're on the road.
Not on the road.
No, if they're at home, then that's a different story.
If they're at home,
Adam Ottavino pitches them.
Okay, they throw Ottavino. How confident are you that he can get Betts, Turner, and Freeman?
Confident. I am. Well, I'm actually very confident in Adam Ottavino.
Ottavino's good, but
he's been great.
What you have to look at is if there is one man that's proven to be clutch throughout this entire season, it is Mookie Betts. And you know what? My best argument against you and against Spencer way back before the season started is that Mookie Betts was still top 10 player in baseball. And Spencer had the blasphemy of thinking, hey, he's not even a top 10 outfielder, which still is an absolute joke. But Mookie Betts is back to being Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
I would not want to face him in the playoffs. Also, I don't care about injuries. That Dodgers pitching staff is still so good. May's good. Urias is good. We still have Gonsolin, Heaney, Kershaw, despite his struggles in the playoffs. And they're still getting healthy. Trinan's coming back, which massive. Because guess what? If Trinan comes back, I'm telling you, Craig Kimbrell will not be on that postseason.
Oh, no shot. Well, he'll be on the roster, but he won't be closing. I think they have to keep him because he's still better than someone. They'd rather have him than a guy like Phil Bickford.
Bickford's not bad.
Yeah, but he's struggled enough.
He's not struggling as much.
He's like a 4 ERA.
Craig Kimbrell would love to have a 4 ERA.
What's Kimbrell's ERA?
Pretty sure Kimbrell's is over 7.
Is it? No, there's no way. I thought it was like 3.8 or something.
Hold on. I may be going back a little too far.
Yeah, it's 3.8, 3.88. And Bickford's got Bickford is at load 4.72. So they're he's also on IL, but still the Dodgers he's been good enough that he can stay.
I would not put Craig Kimbrell on the postseason roster
well,
if you have to, go ahead and you know what? Maybe throw him in the 7th.
Yeah, or in a game where you're up by 5. You know,
more like 7.
Yeah,
Kimbrell's been terrible.
He really has.
But
it's the only question for this
case. That trade worked out because Paul got a bad year.
Of course, yeah.
So here's the thing. That Dodgers team is too deep. They're too deep. And I think that's where it comes down to is which team's depth is going to push them over the top in a playoff series. That's where I think the Dodgers would beat anybody.
The Mets do have the Mets. No question, the Mets have the best rotation ever in the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. But I'm
still worried about it about the performance against the Braves.
I do
Very
too.
worried.
I am too.
And you know what? It's not just that, but Degrom has had moments this year where he's really struggled.
Yeah.
Same with Scherzer.
We made that as he has a 3 ERA, but comparing him to what Jacob Degrom should
comparing to what Jacob Degrom is.
Yes. It's
what Scherzer is. They've had moments where they have really struggled this year.
Well, Scherzer's only had a couple, thankfully. Scherzer still has I think a 2.3 ERA.
Yeah, but I'm still saying.
Yes. But I mean every pitcher has had that
also,
too.
I think one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball is Julio Urias.
I agree.
I think he does not get the respect he gets. People are like, oh, wins are such an overrated stat. Just watch him pitch.
Yes, no.
Just watch him pitch. His ERA speaks for himself, his whip, but the way he gets out of jams is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
He can get bases loaded, no outs, and work his way out of it.
Yeah.
He is ridiculous.
That's what makes a star pitcher.
He is a star pitcher, and nobody gives him the credit that he deserves to being that star pitcher.
He also started the season off really poorly, too.
He did.
I think is hurting people's opinion of him.
Well, look at it. Doesn't matter how you start; it matters how you finish.
Yes, it does. You don't have to remind me of that. I know that better than anyone this season.
Doesn't matter how you start; it matters how you finish. Well, do I date back 7 years?
You can.
Game 1.
Yeah. Well, you could actually say every game in that series except for game 2, because quite honestly, it's the same.
I hate your argument for the Mets. I want to go off on this tangent. I hate your argument that the Mets should have won that series.
Well, they should have. Absolutely.
No, here's the thing.
They were first in the ninth.
Here's the
thing.
What was the theme of the Royals that year?
Comebacks.
Yes, look at what happened against the Astros.
Yes.
I went into those games thinking they'll come back. Easily. I felt that. I felt that in Game 5 against Harvey because they hadn't shocked me. Look what they did at 14 against the A's, which I can't believe that was over 8 years ago now. I feel so old. I feel so old, and you know what? It makes me kind of sad that that it's so far away from
you. I know you haven't seen the playoffs in 7 years. I mean, I haven't seen them. I basically haven't either. It's crazy.
It hurts. It hurts.
Oh, I feel it.
You know, I'm waiting for the good news of Eldred and Matheny getting fired.
Yeah, I know you are.
I'm waiting. Once that happens, I'll come on this show and I will be like, you know what? Now it's time for the future to take over.
It'll be within a couple.
Because once they get the dumpster fire of those two out of there.
Yeah. Well, they will. When they start winning again, they'll change things up. So with the rest of the show that we have, which is a little less than a half hour, I'd like to do our postseason predictions. And
nothing's said yet.
Nothing's said based on the way things are right now. And obviously, the teams
are locked.
This picture is not the same because the Phillies are the 6th seed and the Padres are the 5th seed. Other than that, it is all correct. And it's likely not going to change. The Phillies are the only team that can change, but even at that, there's really no reason to work. I don't think, at least to me, I don't think the outcome of the wild card series are going to change whether it's the Phillies playing the Cardinals or the Padres. I don't.
Honestly, I could see an upset of it.
I could see the Padres beating the Cardinals.
But I don't think the upset is Phillies. I think the Padres advance regardless of who it is.
I disagree. I don't.
I really do.
All right, we'll get to that. Do you want? We can start with the National League wild card then. We'll start with the.
Yeah. Don't go to with your side.
We'll start with the NL wild card then, and we'll. Oh God, why is this court so short? Which is the Mets Padres. We'll start at the bottom side because they'll have to play the number 1 seed, the Dodgers. Yeah. I do think the Mets win that series. Obviously, not biased. I just think, and I think most people can agree the Mets are favorites in that series. But you never know how the Mets are going to do. First off, a lot also ride their mentality. We don't know what their mentality is, and we're only going to find out in the National Series that they're playing right now. And even at that, when come, it's a different ballgame. But the Mets may enter that series and be completely down for the count and just lose. We do not know what's going to happen until that series comes around. So the baseball side of me tells me that it's going to be the Mets, but the Mets fan side of me tells me that there's a chance the Padres absolutely go in there and take care of business. Part of you is the Mets hater inside of you.
No. I don't let my Mets hatred fuel my decisions on who wins the series. I don't. Let me explain why. I think yesterday's start for Blake Snell, with how good he looked, is the perfect way to end his regular season and when he goes for game 2.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think the Padres are going to throw for rotation, by the way?
Darvish game 1. That's the law.
You think so? Okay. I was thinking Musgrove, maybe. I mean, his season hasn't been the best, but neither is Darvish.
Oh, I think about seasons. That's why.
Would you like me to meet your mind?
Yes, please do.
Okay. I think the thing that I'm thinking about is that there is a genuine chance that okay.
I'm expecting it.
I know. There's a genuine chance that great. That they throw Musgrove out game 1. Because to me Musgrove is their ace.
Depends on if he pitches in this last series.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how they're. Yeah, I have no idea. I did. It's on. I have no idea.
And you know what? Honestly, if they save Snell for against Bassett, Padres have the upper hand.
No. I disagree with
Dude, I like Bassett a lot. I hated when he went to the Mets because I really like Bassett.
They haven't announced their rotation yet.
But I think that when you look at it, that's a much more even pitching duel than you think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No,
Because
I
Darvish
completely agree
against
with you.
DeGrom, when Darvish gets on a roll,
Oh,
dude,
yeah, I agree.
he's
All
on
three games
him.
are going to be tight. They're going to be tight. It's pitching-wise, starting pitching-wise, that they're going to be – the Mets obviously have the small upper hand, but they're going to be closer than if it was any other team.
I think the downfall of the Padres would be the bullpen. If the
I
bullpen
agree.
cannot stay it.
I completely agree.
And I think that's
And the
what
lineup could
the
be a
issue is.
problem, too.
I expect a lot from the lineup. I think the lineup's going to turn on.
Yeah, but they haven't, and that would then require them to do so for the wild card series, and which they can. I mean, it's basically a different season.
You know, anything can happen in the wild card.
Yeah.
Do you think I thought when the Royals were down 7-1 against the A's? Yeah, Parker, I hope you're listening, buddy. Oh, definitely not. But
No,
I think this Padres team just has an edge going into this season. Because here's the thing: they got there with all the drama of Tatis.
yes,
They got there without him.
Yeah.
I think there's an edge to that team. I think when you go against the Padres, I would hate being any pitcher. I don't care if you're DeGrom. I don't care if you're freaking Young. When you got to go back to back against Soto and Machado,
yeah, it's tough.
I'm scared.
Well, the Mets did it with Soto and Harper for a few years, thankfully, so they're used to it.
Soto wasn't Soto.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Not like he is now.
I get it. No, you're right. But I mean, to be fair, Soto's also having a rough season, and he's been rough. But that's the wild card in this wild card series. Is Juan Soto playing at Citi Field? He's probably going to hit 4 home runs.
Also, I did say yesterday, you cannot trust Trent Grisham in a wild card game.
No,
especially in right field.
Yeah,
Sorry, Brewers fans, but
no, you're right.
I wonder how that dynamic is between he and Soto.
I don't know.
I think Soto
Probably
went
pretty
on Twitter
funny.
and said,
Thanks.
"Hey, thanks, man."
Absolutely. No, I'm sure they've probably spoken about it a few times.
I just don't know why it's a gut feeling type of thing. Padres have that edge, and here's the thing: this is their first
Brooklyn just walked by and she turned right around.
Appearance since 06. You know, you can count 2020.
Yeah, no.
It's their first real playoff appearance since 2006.
Yeah.
There's an edge to that team. I think Darvish shoves. I really think Snell's going to shove whichever game he goes. I think Musgrove's going to do what Musgrove does, and he battles.
Yeah.
Musgrove freaking battles, dude. But here's the thing. It depends which DeGrom and which Scherzer you get.
Oh, yeah.
And that's another reason that's very scary for the Mets, is which one are you going to get, especially after how it ended.
Yeah. Well, George Boyle made a great point to me, and that's that Max Scherzer never has 2 bad starts in a row. Which is true.
Does that extend to the playoffs?
Yes.
I would be very scared. He's going to go game 2. Game 1's
Of course,
DeGrom,
yeah,
no doubt.
yes. And I also make the argument that game 2 is actually the more important game in the series anyway.
It is. It is. Here's the thing. Game 1, it's nice to get that lead. You only have to win 1 out of 2. It doesn't really matter that much.
Mm-hmm.
You can easily win 2 games.
Right. Game two is the most important game.
You know what? It would not shock me. Bob Melvin's a genius. He's a great manager. I still believe he's one of the best in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
What if he threw Snell game 1? What if he said, I'm going to mess with the Mets. Snell game 1, Darvish 2, Musgrove 3.
I wouldn't hate that.
Again,
That would
it's
also, yeah,
very risky
hand the Mets games
because
1 and 3.
you're throwing all your eggs in that basket of winning game 2 to get you to Musgrove.
Right.
It would not shock me if you did it. I'd be like, you know what? We can be okay losing this one. But again, Snell's looked good in his past few starts.
But the Mets also have home field advantage. And taking 2 games in a row, back-to-back, at Citi Field in that environment also.
That's why I say you start Darvish.
Yeah, I agree.
You want that game 1.
Yeah, the road team has more pressure on them to win game 1 than the home team.
I would throw, honestly, I'd go Darvish, Musgrove, Snell.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I'd go. Mets is
that's
obvious.
Yeah.
It's obvious. It's Degrom, Scherzer, and then Bassett.
Yeah, no question.
The pitching matchup is going to be great. It's which bullpen fault.
Yeah.
Because both offenses can come up wrong.
I agree with you completely. I completely agree. I think that's exactly what's
I
going to happen.
still think this series, regardless, goes 3.
Yeah,
goes 3, and I think the Padres win it.
Or if Degrom and Scherzer will go 2. But I could see it going 3.
I've seen Degrom look insane.
And lose. Yeah, so much.
It's the story of the Mets. Degrom goes 8 insane innings, maybe gives up 1 run and 2 hits.
Yeah.
And still
2-0.
knows.
Yeah. Or 2-1.
Yeah.
No, trust me, I get it.
So
we don't have tons of time, so I want to get into the other wild card. Yes, but so you've got Padres moving on. I've got the Mets. So then the other wild card is Phillies Cardinals, and this series.
I want the Cardinals to go far. It's the sentimental
of
stuff.
course. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Also, shout out Albert Pujols, second most RBIs ever now.
Yeah.
As he hit another homer today.
It's just
what if he just goes crazy, cranks a bunch of homers in the postseason,
do it,
and passes Babe?
Well,
he won't technically pass Babe.
He already has passed.
Yeah, so. But in my book, he just keep cruising.
Yeah, absolutely.
The machine.
Yeah, he's incredible. I think the Cardinals win that series anyway. I mean, I think the Phillies.
I think that series still goes 3.
I agree.
Here's the thing,
because it's 2 good offenses going against.
Good offenses. Phillies have the better starting pitching.
Yes.
That's the only reason why I say it goes 3.
Yeah, I agree with you. I can agree with you on that.
But I do think the Cardinals advance.
So we'll just crank out the NL while we're at it. We've got Dodgers. I've got Dodgers, Mets. You've got Dodgers, Padres. I think we both could agree that the Dodgers are favored to win and would win. I'm predicting the Dodgers to win that series. I'm not saying that the Mets can't beat the Dodgers because they absolutely could if their pitchers, if the Mets pitchers finally wake up and pitch the way they can, it's going to be a great series. It's a World Series matchup in the NLDS, but I'm going with the Dodgers just for my prediction.
I'm taking the Dodgers.
Then we have Braves, Cardinals, both of us, and I'm going Braves. I think it'll even go 4 or 3. I really do. But who knows? We don't know what the days off. Oh, sorry, I forgot it's the DS. It could go 3 or 4. I wouldn't be shocked. I really wouldn't. The Braves are that good. They really are. We also don't know how the 5 days off or the 7 days off rather is going to impact these teams. We really don't. We've never seen this before.
The reason I'm going to say the Braves, pitching staff.
Yeah.
Because the Cardinals offense can match it. I think the Cardinals offense can match it because you got Armand.
Yeah, but the Braves handled the Cardinals this year pretty easily. I mean, they dominated.
And it's because the discrepancy in pitching.
Yes.
So I am going to take the Braves in that series.
Okay, so we both have the Braves and Dodgers in the championship series. It's just it feels just so wrong to say the Dodgers again because we do this every year. These are the 2 best
offenses in baseball, in my opinion.
Yes.
And which pitching holds up? Honestly, you throw Kershaw, Gonsolin, and Urias, I think they take care of it.
Yeah.
I think they do.
I agree. I think that's when the young factor of the Braves will then be exposed in that series.
And here's the thing. Who knows how Spencer Strider's going to look when he comes back?
Yeah, he could end up
I'm worried about that too.
All.
But the thing that I've seen a lot from Max Fried is he has some walk issues.
Mm-hmm.
You can't
and
do
he's been
that.
really, really worn out lately. Now the week break is going to help him.
Yeah. You can't walk the Dodgers.
No.
And I think that is going to lead to something.
I agree.
I'm going to take the Dodgers.
So am I. All right, so we both got the Dodgers representing the National League in the World Series. So we ended up both agreeing.
I can tell you right now, Tampa Bay beats Cleveland.
All right, so
if that's how it shakes out
in the wild card. It is. That's exactly the AL. This is how the AL is lined up. There's no way, unless the Mariners lose the next 3 games, which they're winning today, then this is what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up this way. I don't think they're going to lose 3 straight, but Tampa Bay beats Cleveland. Let's be honest.
I'm intrigued by that because I actually am leaning more Cleveland because I actually really like their team.
Youth. They're too young. They don't have the playoff experience.
I agree with you on that.
That's where that comes in. Also,
the Rays are the Rays.
The Rays just got someone back.
Yes, that's true. Tyler Glass now, but who knows how long he's going to be able to pitch in the playoffs.
I don't care.
Yes.
When he is healthy, he's a top 10 pitcher in baseball.
Yes.
I like the Rays. And again, these aren't the 2 best offenses.
It's going to be a scrappy
But here's the thing. Under Franco and Randy Arozarena, who struggled but still right there. Play out Randy. Jose Ramirez. Those 2 outweigh him. So I think the Rays take care of them.
Okay.
And honestly, it's just because of how young. And it helps that they have Tito as their manager, 100%. For
I can see it
Cleveland,
going either way.
but I'm going to take Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I can absolutely see it going either way. I really can. It's going to be a complete crapshoot. It's going to be just whichever team is luckier. The Cardinals, I'm sorry, not the Cardinals, the Guardians having home field really plays a big role in that. But I don't know. To me, it's a flip of a coin. I'm going with the Guardians just for now, just because I'm picking them. Then we have the Mariners and the Blue Jays, and this one is.
I hate to say it.
Really? Why do you hate to say it?
Because I love the Mariners team.
Oh, okay.
They're such a fun team. For me, the Mariners are like the Padres. They're just so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take the Blue Jays. Here's the thing. Big game Manoah, dude. When he needs to have a stellar outing, he's going to shove. Yeah. Gosman will shove.
He could, but he's not been Gosman this year. He's not been the Gosman of last year. He has. Now, who did they throw out their game 3?
That's where you're running issues.
Right.
Who the Mariners throw out game 3?
Marco Gonzalez.
Murphy Killer.
He's better than
Murphy Killer.
He's better than what the Blue Jays are going to throw out there.
Yes.
He's really not been Barrios. I would trust Gonzalez over Barrios.
I don't trust either of them.
And look at the pitching. So look at the pitching matchup.
Let's look at it. I trust the Blue Jays offense more.
I agree. Absolutely.
That Blue Jays lineup is stacked.
But the Mariners
also go Whit Merrifield. I want you to get your ring. Get your bag.
That would be funny. That would actually be really funny. I'm picking the Mariners. I just have a sneaky feeling the Mariners are going to be I think they're going to be our sleeper team this year. I do. I don't know why. I think they're going to be like last year's Braves, that they're going to get in the playoffs and they're just going to shine and do really, really well. I don't know why. There's magic in Seattle. You can acknowledge that. There's magic out there.
But playoff experience is also huge in this
situation. Yes, it is. It absolutely
And I think that when you look at the Blue Jays have that offense. When you compare it to the Mariners.
This is where George Springer is going to make his money, by the way.
This is where Springer makes his money. The Shet's good. I think Vladdy's going to go off.
Well, you hope so.
I think Vladdy's going to have a big series. But also, Teoscar Hernandez. Vladimir Appiah's been good for them.
Just
I think when it comes down to it, there's going to be a battle of the depth. Yeah. Blue Jays win that as well. So that's why I take the Blue Jays. I think this series goes the distance, though.
I agree. So we've got flipped. Okay, so we've got flipped now on the AL side. I have Guardians, Yankees, and Mariners, Astros, where you have Rays, Yankees, and Blue Jays, Astros. Still all very, very good matchups no matter what. So we'll start it off with the Yankees ALDS, which would start it off for me with the Guardians and the Yankees. And I mean, obviously, I have to go with the Yankees on that. The Yankees are just simply a better team. I think we could probably agree with the Yankees are probably going to be both teams, whichever one they play. But again, like I said, we have no idea what that 7 days off is going to do.
Honestly, this series is going to be a lot closer than people think. For me, at least, because Tampa Bay plays the Yankees well. The pitching's there. It's just the offense is going to be the difference in this series, and that's why I think the Yankees win it.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. Then we have the Astros series where I have Mariners Astros, which is a American League West matchup, which would be really fun. And you have Blue Jays Astros. And so the part of me that wants to be different wants me to pick the Mariners, just because I really like that thought of the magical Mariners. I don't know. I feel like I should stick to this because I really feel like the Mariners are going to be that team this year that are going to be the magical team that's just going to shock the world. I don't know. I don't know why I'm feeling that. Like, to me, there's magic in Seattle. So I'm riding with it. I'm just going to stick with it because, there's no money riding on these predictions this year. So I think I might as well just go for it and just say there's magic in Seattle and the Mariners are going to beat the Astros. What do you think about the Blue Jays?
I think the Blue Jays win.
Oh, wow. So we both have the Astros knocked out.
Let me explain why.
That's crazy.
I'm very worried about the Astros pitching staff outside of Verlander.
Outside of the starting rotation, I would say.
Yes. I'm still kind of worried about the starting rotation outside of Verlander.
Garcia and Valdez have been there in the playoffs before. We know what they do in the playoffs. They're really damn good in the playoffs.
Solid.
And McCullers is also very good, too.
He's so good.
ruined our fantasy league this year because I had him on my team. And all of our predictions.
He was my dark horse for Cy Young.
I think we both picked him.
I would have stuck with him if he was healthy at the beginning of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, I would have.
I agree.
But here's the thing. I think when it comes to it, there's going to be one team that just has that upset. I think the Blue Jays have that upset in them.
So we're both thinking that the team
I'm going to take the Blue Jays over the Astros.
So we're both picking the upset, the big upset to come in the ALDS for the Astros. That's really, really fascinating because there's always the one. You never know. I mean, baseball's random where we could have 4 upsets or 0. I mean, you never know. So that then leads us with Yankees against Blue Jays and Yankees against Mariners. I'm sorry. I'm riding with the Mariners. I am. I'm riding with them to go to the World Series to take on the Dodgers. I'm doing it. I am. I'm going there. I have them beating the Yankees because I actually think the Mariners would have a better shot against the Yankees than the Astros. So I think if you beat the Astros, you beat the Yankees. I know. I'm doing it to be different, to be fair, but at least I'm acknowledging that.
My prediction at the beginning of the year: Blue Jays, Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Really?
I think the Yankees.
Yeah, the Yankees play the Blue Jays really well.
The Yankees play the Blue Jays well. Garrett Cole in the playoffs.
Well, he's the most unpredictable guy in that entire rotation.
Garrett Cole in the playoffs.
All right.
I trust his track record.
Okay.
Cortez. Whew.
We don't know his.
We don't know his status
in the playoffs, and his status either.
Severino looked darn good tonight.
He did, yes.
I think that makes you feel so confident. Their bullpen is injured. If their bullpen can get healthy, I feel so much better. But man, you're going to the Bronx. You're not going to stop Judge and Stanton. You're not going to take out the 3-headed monster of Rizzo, adding him in there. For golly, you're seeing Gleyber Torres starting to get hot. Like, that lineup is so deep. The 3 best offenses in baseball will be represented in that CS on both sides.
Yeah.
And honestly, Blue Jays have a case to be a top 5 offense. You do.
They could be. Absolutely. They could be a top offense in baseball, honestly. Yeah. They could be the
top offenses are going to be key. The difference is I trust the Yankees pitching and their bullpen more than I trust the Blue Jays.
I would pick the Yankees over the Blue Jays too, to be honest.
So
if
I'm going Dodgers-Yankees World Series. I know it's boring. I don't like it. I don't
either. That's why I picked them here.
Well, I like the Dodgers, but I don't like the Yankees.
Well, who does? I don't think anyone does, other than Kayla. That's it.
Austin Ford? Egan Adler?
Yeah.
Come on. Show respect.
3 people.
Oh, that's not it, Jack.
5-4.
You are not respecting a.
They're also not coming to my head right off the top.
Yeah, I'm not respecting some people's fanhood. Yes, I have the boring World Series.
So you have Yankees Dodgers. I have Mariners Dodgers. I don't have the Mariners winning it, so that'll make you feel a little.
Dodgers are winning it all.
Yeah, we both.
This is the Dodgers year.
That's what we can say that though.
This team is over the top.
We've said that every year.
No, I have not said this team is over the top.
We've said that they're really darn good and they're going to win it every year.
This team is over the top.
I agree with you. I do. I agree. I think
because there's one thing. They brought in a Hulk of Freddie Freeman for this year. And who's been atop the NL in hits and batting average? Freddie Freeman.
Yeah,
do you know who else has been up there?
To top him, which is crazy.
Do you know who else has been up there? Trey Turner.
Yes, of course.
Do you know who's been that guy this year? Mookie Betts. And if there's something that you need to know about the Dodgers, there's one guy, despite struggling, who always comes up clutch. Cody Bellinger. He's come up clutch so many times in the playoffs, dude.
I know, but the last 2 years he's been really bad.
Really? Against the Giants?
Yes.
Last year?
He wasn't consistent.
He will come up with some clutch hits. It's Cody fucking Bellinger. He's going to come up with clutch hits. Justin Turner. He's great in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right.
They have the best lineup in baseball. They have pitching in baseball. I trust the Dodgers pitching over the Yankees. So Dodgers win it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think the Dodgers win it. And, you know, the good thing about the fact that we're picking the Dodgers is it makes it exciting no matter what. Because the Dodgers are the obvious answer. So if they win it, it's like, well, the Dodgers deserved it. And if they don't win it, then it's, wow, someone other than the Dodgers won the World Series. And I have to say, the fact that they're a 109 win team and that
Nope.
they're
110 wins.
110 win team,
110 win team.
they're one of the best teams in history of baseball. Like they should win the World Series here, and if they don't, then where do you go from here? But that'll do it for today. And 7 days from now, the wild card series will both be over. All four be over. Sorry, they will be all over. They are done Sunday night. So the next time you see me, I'll either be happy or sad.
I hope you're sad. I hope you're sad, and that man right there is happy. Because you know what? Go Padres. I don't know if he can hear me. He probably can't.
Of course, they can hear you.
But go Padres.
Well, we'll find out all within a week's time. So for Ryan Blank and myself, Michael Garaff, and Dominic Stern, who's just right out there, this has been Running the Bases, our postseason prediction show. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you all.